Hey, now we're recording. Yay!
We did it again.
Yeah. Oops, I did it again. I got copyright.
Britney Spears with a freaking hedge slammer.
That dad wheeze. Holy Lord, man.
Intro the episode, please.
Well, I can't intro if you're going to die over there. Jesus.
All right, go.
Okay, hello. Welcome back to the Metal Waifu podcast. Wow, that's cool to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is episode 2.
Yeah.
Hello. If you don't know, I am Alexis.
And I'm Nick.
Yeah, and we are two interesting individuals. Here to talk about some weeb stuff for keeping myself PG now. Some weeb stuff and some metal stuff, and today we are doing the latter with the metal stuff.
The metal stuff.
The metal stuff.
Which, more specifically, it's a specific genre that you are very proficient and agile. I wanted to say agile for some reason, but that makes zero sense.
Very agile. I'm in the pit all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, so we are talking about, well, this is going to be probably the first episode talking in this genre.
This is the first of a series I think we should call, as I'm calling it. You can change it or whatever. I'm calling this J-Rock 101.
Yeah.
Probably a good name.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, today we're going to talk about Dir En Grey, which is, I feel like personally, whenever you talk to somebody who is even slightly into J-Rock, they always bring up Dir En Grey. Dir En Grey has probably one of the best reaches as far as fans go, at least that I've been able to tell.
Yeah.
And they're so long running now, so.
Yeah, they seem to be one of the bands that doing into this that not only have a reach in terms of like the J-Rock culture and everything along those lines, but they have a from what I understand from the wiki and everything, they have like a storied history, like with beyond other people's tours and all that, right? Like been on other shows and everything.
Oh yeah. They did like tours outside of Japan before like a lot of people really did, especially in the States, because getting J-Rock into the States is so difficult. And if they do come over, they do like a very, very limited amount of shows. And I think one of their, I could be completely wrong, or I might be like remembering this wrong, but I think one of their first tours that they were a part of, they had like 16 shows in the States, which is
something like that. There was one of the things I was reading was apparently I think they did a tour with Korn and something like that. So they had like an extended reach outside of just that, because if you're listening and if you know understand the dynamic here, Alexis is clearly the person that has way more knowledge of this stuff, and I am clearly the newbie to this. My subjection to J-Rock is probably like I've been subjected to it when I was like younger, like going to like anime conventions and all that kind of stuff, because I've been doing that stuff for a long time. But I always remember like the one or two booths that would always have like the J-Rock iconography and idols and posters and music videos and all that stuff in the background, and you know the makeup, the hair, and all that kind of stuff and everything. And I was always just kind of like, granted, I had a massive emo face, but I wasn't the kid that wore like makeup and all that kind of stuff. So it was out of my interest range, right? I always thought it was kind of not my particular taste. But I've gotten older, you know, I've become wiser, I've become more eclectic.
join the dark side.
Yeah. I mean, I have my opinions.
I have my opinions.
Yeah, that's so basically I don't know if you want to give like a quick and dirty like rundown of the history of the band and everything before I get into like some of my analyses and all that kind of stuff and everything and discussion. But
yeah, so I can, for the people who don't know Dir En Grey.
If you're joining me on the learning experience.
Yeah. So this is a band that actually was formed in the late 90s, but their first band was, I guess, not really a failure, but it kind of also was because one of the, I believe it was the bass player of the original band, he did not feel like they were ready to debut, even though everybody else in the band did. And so, yeah, they kind of ditched him and that name and went on, which actually, yeah, I was right. It's the bassist Kiseki, which surprisingly, I have notes in front of me and I'm not even using them in the world. I do not 100% know how to pronounce the band name that they were for before. It's like Las Sadies. I don't know if that's how it actually is pronounced.
No.
But yeah, so then in 97 was when they had their official lineup, which a very interesting thing about Dir En Grey 2 is they've never had lineup changes. Besides that one, it's always been Kaoru on guitar, Kyo on vocals. I don't know if he pronounces it as DA or it's literally like die.
Yeah.
But he's on rhythm. Shinya is on drums, and Toshia is on bass. So
all single names, no full names or anything like that. Just straight to the cut, straight to the point.
I think that's pretty much any J-rock band. I don't really. I mean, well, because a lot of them also don't go by their real names.
Is it kind of? I don't know. I understanding like the various Asian styles and genres and everything like that. Is J-rock something that is formed naturally, like people like form a band together and start making music and all that kind of stuff, or is it more kind of a label thing? Because I've always kind of wondered that. Is it kind of a mix of both?
From most of what I know, it's all on them.
Okay, for J-rock. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like the K-pop factory.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but I wasn't too sure of that. But
yeah, I mean, there might be some bands out there that were formed like that, but from at least a lot of the ones that I listen to, they all formed themselves.
Gotcha.
And especially like your long runners like Dir En Grey or like the Gazette, that was all on them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So an interesting thing that I actually didn't know this about their name, I guess because I just never really looked it up, is that it's consisting of 3 different languages.
Yeah.
But apparently it also was a song from another group. So
yeah, from what I understood, it was like it's like the translation for them was like the gray coin or something like that, or something along those lines. But apparently the translation's kind of loose, like not really.
Yeah, it was kind of, it only really stuck because they made it became the fan club magazine thing.
Yeah,
that's the only reason that translation stuck. I think it was interpreted that way, and then the band kind of just rolled with it.
Right. Well, I think they've mentioned too, like reading some of the stuff was they mentioned later on that like they're like, we thought it meant this, but really it's actually kind of just a bunch of nonsense, but like we've been using the name for years, kind of just go with it at this point. So that's what it seems like with them.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Dir is German, N is French, and Grey is the English word in the name. So
yeah,
interesting. But again, I think they kind of have talked about it, and I think some interviewers had asked about it, like where it came from, and a lot of people pinpointed that there was, because they said that they took it from another band, but they wouldn't really say who, or maybe they did at some point, and this is how people got this information. But I saw 2 different bands that apparently had, well, one had a direct song that was called Dir En Grey, and then somebody else had like some hodgepodge.
Are they in the same genre as Dir En Grey is, or are they from different? Are they from different?
No, I think one of them was from a different country. I think, if I remember.
Okay, but like, it's still like the rock genre, metal genre, or something else.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I don't 100% remember those like fine details. I'm terrible at.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's a general kind of idea and everything. But yeah, so 99 is when they put out their first album, right? That's when they actually fully came out with their...
That's when Gauze came out.
So, I guess we kind of gave you guys a general idea of what the band is and everything like that. I took it upon myself originally that I was going to go listen through their discography and kind of just go through everything. As I was going through it, obviously this is still trial and error, like figuring things out, trying all that kind of stuff. I figured out that they had 10 albums.
Yeah.
And they're 10 albums well worth of material. And I was like, well, I'll start off and try. I think I started like early this week, like trying to go through it and everything. And I went through their first album, Gauze. And if you read, first off, you can't read my notes. My handwriting's freaking atrocious. I don't know if we're past 10 minutes yet. Okay, fucking atrocious. There you go. YouTube, thank you. Freaking atrocious. And basically, the way I was doing is I was going through each of the songs and taking notes while I was going through the songs. Dude, I was getting burnt the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't understand why this man did this.
I wanted to be detailed. I wanted to have I think my main thing is just I didn't want to be talking on my ass. Like, I didn't want to force ideas or discussion and everything like that. Or you have an antidote?
Well, just by the way, I looked it up, and the thing that I was talking about earlier, actually, they talked about it this year. It was taken from a band that was famous around the time. It was another it says this band was most likely Loreen. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it's pronounced, but it is another Japanese band because they have a song called Dir En Grey, but it's Grey with an A. But they disbanded in 2007. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyways,
that's interesting. That's interesting. More you know. So I was going through each one. I did it. I finished it for the first album, and then for the rest of it, I was like, "No, I'm not doing that, fam." That was tormenting in a way because it kind of took me out of how I normally listen to music, which is just I usually have a lot of stuff on in the background, right? I'm usually doing other things, and I'm paying attention to the music and everything, but I don't know if I have some semblance of brain shit or whatever, but it just helps me focus on it a little better. So when I got in the Gauze, that's how I kind of treat it. But for the rest of the albums, I just did a normal overview of how I felt about it and everything. And I have my notes here just in case I need to reiterate anything along those lines. So jumping into Gauze, the thing is, phone, excuse me, don't interrupt me while I'm about to get into some serious discussion. Yeah, fantasy, I don't care. Anywho.
Jesus.
Fucking football. Sports ball, yeah, yeet. Going into Gauze and going into Dir En Grey in general, I had a general understanding of how the band is, right? Dark, theatrical, metal, all these things. It's very dark thematics and all that kind of shit going into their music and everything like that. That's what I was expecting. And Gauze, at least for me, listening to some of the songs and everything, I think it's gonna be the issue going through some of the J-Rock stuff is that general J-Rock sound to me is kind of generic a little.
Well, I mean, you have to remember that J-Rock's kind of an umbrella term. It's just calling something rock or heavy metal.
Well, yeah, but there's tropes, right? There's kind of best way I can fucking describe it in my terms. If it sounds like a fucking anime intro or an anime outro, that's usually what I kind of see it as. And Gauze has quite a few of those. And for me, at least, it gave me an idea of what the band is like, but I did feel for their first album, it was, hey, we need to establish ourselves as a fan base and everything, so let's not try and go too crazy, but let's do some interesting things here and there. So from what I remember, the first part of the album was kind of whatever, and then I forget what were the big ones that caught me. It was what was it? Masochist of Decadence. And when I was doing the videos and everything like that, while I was watching a YouTube video, it didn't have the English translation, so I have it listed as some kind of kanji, part 2, and part 1, and part 4. I can find it. I can find the lyrics, the words of the song later. But both of those songs, had more. I remember the sixth song on the albums, first thing I described came right to my mind was like a Guilty Gear song. If you ever listened to like the Guilty Gear soundtrack and everything, it had that vibe to it and everything. But then it kept going and it kept going, and I was like, okay, I'm hearing it. There's some snarling, there's some aggression, there's some more expression to it, there's more thematics and everything like that. And then you listen to Masochist. It's supposed. I read the thing for it. It's supposed to be like a play on masochist. Like you should just call it masochist. When you get into that, like there's a baby crying at one point. No, there's a baby laughing at one point, and it's very somber. It's very sad. You can, like I also, the one thing I did too, which I guess I could do next time we're going to Jericho or whatever, I didn't listen to like any translations. I didn't look for lyrics or anything like that.
Yeah, that'll change your life.
I know,
because it gets real steep. As their career goes on, because The Insulated World is probably one of my favorite albums that has ever come out. So.
Right. Just as a side note, I didn't get through all their discography. I got through their first 4 albums, which I think is a good. Unfortunate. I'm sure, but I think as a basis, a band's first 4 albums are kind of like their bedrock and like their modus operandi going forward. The prime example.
Well, the difference with them, though, is their first 2 were when they were very still much in, like, the Visual K sound, which is, and then I think it might have been in the second. Actually, no, I think it was in the second they pulled away from it. They at least started pulling away from Visual K.
I noticed that very much so when we got in Macabre. But the Masochist was the first sign of, like, seeing, like, oh, they're getting weird, like they're doing some theatrical stuff, like they're doing some interesting things here and there. But then like kind of the rest of the album again, I was just kind of like, again, like the Visual K and all that kind of stuff, that in that styling of what it is. I re-listened to, I think Cage is off of Gauze. I want to say, which I re-listened to that song, and that song I re-listened to it and got a better appreciation of it.
I literally have all the albums.
Yeah, right. Not good.
That means you haven't even listened to the World of Mercy new that came out last year. Yeah, 2019.
No. I tried to get through it, girl, but you know.
I told you to not go that in.
I went in. I dove too deep.
Yeah.
Yes, Cage is off of Gauze. I re-listened to that song, and that song good and everything like that. It has a good catch to it and everything, but it wasn't hitting me the way I was thinking. Because I think that's just kind of the main thing is I figured Dir En Grey was a good basis for us to start with this, because I at least have I feel like I have an understanding of when they go into their weirder stuff that it's going to get it's going to interest me. Because in all honesty, like one of my favorite things about metal music in general is when it challenges me. I'll love me some Dillinger. I love me some Between the Buried and Me. I'll love me some Gojira. I love me stuff that goes weird, goes to strange places, and challenges me as a listener to pay attention. Even like I told you, like I usually doing other things while listening to it, but it's still like I'll be doing something and then like I hear a riff or a breakdown or something like that. I'm just like, what the fuck was that?
Oh yeah.
What the shit? God?
That's me, like, anytime a really good double. Oh, my God, I have... okay, there's something after this podcast that I have to talk to you about, because, oh, my God.
Okay, all right.
It's one of the best drummers in general, but also...
Just fucking drum devastation.
I love double kicks so much. If you're joining us for the first time on this episode, I am an audio engineer and I have a fetish for double kicks. So as an engineer, anytime I get to mic one up, I am fully ready.
No kink shaming here, please. This is a kink free zone. Double bass all the time.
Is it kink free or shame free?
Kink shame free.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. English. It's not my first language. It is, but you know.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, very. But yeah, so like Gauze was definitely I saw the inklings of what there can go for, but I was like, yeah. But also maybe it didn't help the fact that I also was trying to go through each of them the songs and taking notes for each one of them, and might have maybe hampered a little bit. I'll probably give her a re-listen later on. But then we get into Macabre.
Great album.
It starts with the orchestral, like, and then it goes into heavy shit, and then it goes into like some Testament like shit, like in the second song. And then like it goes hard in the paint. Like it takes
kids say.
It is what the kid. This is my macabre review, by the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
There's
wrote
so many words on that page.
It's all misspellings and poorly grammar and all that stuff and everything. This album has like introduces a lot of like the industrial stuff they kind of get into a little bit, like borderline KMFDM. Let me see. That's how they say it, right? KMFDM. Yeah, I said it right. That like did I stutter? Like all that like kind of industrial sound and everything, and I started to see them branching out and doing other things I wasn't expecting. Keo's vocals are all over the damn place. The guitar work is way better. That was one thing that I kind of have semi issue with Gauze, is that the guitar work is decent and everything like that, but it's still it's still in that genre. It's still in that style. This is where I felt like they were starting to kind of go and like do a little more different things. Like there's a lot more blast beats on this. There's a lot more. I don't know if I'm saying blast beats right, but it's. I know like in a traditional like it's. You know what beat I'm talking about, like yes. In the cymbal and the high and the snare and everything like that. It's not a full blast beat, but it's something along those lines. I think some people call it a lazy beat because it's from like grindcore. Yeah, and so you can get those faster rhythms and everything, and they can go, make it feel like a double time in a way. Yeah. But
builds anticipation.
Yeah, and screaming and yelling. But they introduced a lot of that shit, and it's the actual metal fan of me was like, okay, I dig this shit. And even when they did like the slower, sadder songs and everything, I was in it because of the performances engaging me in that stuff. And there's still points here and there where like they'll do the more traditional, like I guess Kai sound or whatever, like I guess it's the visual Kai whatever sound that you were mentioning, but it those little moments happened and I didn't mind it because there were so many other great moments. I was like, this album was solid. Once again, not listening to any lyrics or reading the lyrics or anything like that. I'm just kind of going through it as a listener, not trying to do any of that kind of stuff. But I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'll next time I'll sit through it with the lyric sheet and everything like that.
I'll say the lyrics. Well, I think their lyrics is one of the biggest transformations. Personally, because they really stopped. I guess really kind of just stopped caring about what their subject matter was, and so they really dove into like some heavy stuff, and even a lot of fans were like, wow, we're like really going in, like we're getting there.
Going in,
which is great to see. I mean, I love stuff like that really kind of pushes that boundary and talks about things that maybe other people won't talk about, or talks about things that are super personal to them. So
yeah, it's good. It's good as a band to delve into the subject matters, like uncomfortable shit. Which that's one thing too about Dir En Grey. I think is the theme is uncomfortableness, which I'll get into later.
Yeah.
As I followed up with some other research. So into album 3, which is Keo or whatever it's called. Queso Blanco with some tortillo chips.
It's probably queso,
something like that.
You at the end.
So here's the thing about that one. That's I remember there being some decent bops in it and everything. But I think kind of going like it was once again like. It stagnated a little bit. It didn't really I didn't feel like there was nothing really stuck out to me on that one. The only one that I can think of, there's maybe like a few points towards the beginning where it was they're decent. Like what was it? One song called "Death of the Family" or whatever, something like that. Or let me read my notes. Oh God, I don't think I even put it. I think I was getting to the point with my note taking where I was just like I wasn't even talking about like naming specific songs, but kind of just going off of the albums themselves. But I remember like the first half of the album, like the first chunk of it was like had some bangers in it, and then like kind of died down after the first how do you pronounce this?
Oh my god.
I feel like I had to fill up the void while I'm looking through shit. Shinsu, Shinsou. Which that was a something like in 3 parts or whatever, and each part sounded more aggressively like a Tekken song.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, it had like industrial beats and everything, but it was they're like quick, like 1 to 2 minute bits, and like the last part of this.
Are you talking about are you just talking about all 3 of them overall, or are you talking about like the first one, the buried deep?
the three of them overall?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which they were interesting and everything like that, but kind of like the rest of the album following through, I was just kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. And then you get to like, this is another banger name, Domestic Fucker Family.
Yep.
What the?
I knew you were gonna talk about that
like,
one.
So. I get their naming conventions are kind of weird. Obviously, it gets weirder into the last album I got into, full on. It sounded. I tried to find the Slipknot song. It fucking sounded like, but it was like the guitar tone and crunch and all that shit, like everything kind of together. Which I understand. Like there a lot of some of their influences, especially some of the bands they were associated with, were from like the nu metal era. So there was probably some influence sprinkled in from that and everything. I think I remember like look at the Wikipedia, like some of the genres they put them in was like avant-garde metal, alternative metal, and then like nu metal was also there as well. But like they're not like. They're not fucking Limp Bizkit. They're not fucking. Yeah.
You know what? Like one of Kyo's big inspirations is Japan X.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't mention it. I again, this is new. I don't know what Japan X is. So.
Oh God. Okay, yeah. That is a classic band.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, they were like on top of the world. I mean, we're all hoping that they come back, but you know, they're just kind of chilling right now, I guess.
Whatever, making residuals. Yeah, I have. That's another episode for another day. Put that one in the book.
Right. By the way, I'm surprised you didn't look up the lyrics for Domestic Fucker Family because there's like not a lot to them.
Okay, it's just a name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. It's literally like. Fucker, radical fucker, trans, psycho pleasure.
Oh.
And that's, there's the trans psycho pleasure, and then thrash psycho family, and human psycho passion. But shall we start a thrilling game, Mr. Fucker M? Yeah.
You know, for the whole family.
It's a very, it's definitely, well, yeah.
I feel
it's a statement. But yeah,
it gets a little steep.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's such basic lyrics, but when you actually like read all of them, you're like, "Whoa,
yeah, there's
this is saying something."
You're saying something there, bud. You got some words to say and some things to do. But the other thing about it too is that like the album doesn't stay for too long. Like it's 16 songs, right? Mm-hmm. And like the longest like one of them goes is like 6:30, something like that. But I think that the way I felt about it is that I feel like it could have trimmed a little fat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a few songs in there that I was just kind of like, they probably could have not put that on there, or like, you know, this is just kind of there to beef up the track listing a little bit. Again, good songs in there. Like I think the first chunk of it was very solid. I also put ratings on these, but I'm not gonna put fucking subjected to my rating system.
We can do a rating system when we're actually just talking about like one album.
Well, yeah. I just kind of thought, yeah, how I numerically felt about an album.
I mean, I feel like we'd have to do that for one of our other ideas. So.
Oh yeah. That one's for the book. That one should be fun. But the last album I actually got around to listening to, which I did, that was basically this morning.
Well, real quick before you fall out of this era.
Okay.
Did you happen to listen to, what was it, Child Parade, I want to say?
That's in Vulgar.
Yeah, but it came out as a single because it was used in an anime.
Oh, it's in the Grappler?
Baki the Grappler.
Baki the Grappler, that's right. Yeah. Baki the Grappler.
But yeah, and then Vulgar was released.
And then, and then Vulgar was released. Holy fucking shit! That shit was fucking. Oh my fucking god! I need a doctor. I need to see some people. Vulgar is an intensely aggressive album.
Yes.
It slaps. It's wild. It's sad in its moments, but then when it comes back, it's like.
And like almost every song has a music video. Almost.
We're gonna get into that. Oh boy! Fucking second. So Vulgar, I think, is like my favorite because just as a pure aggression album, as a pure metal album, it doesn't need. You don't even need to like hear the lyrics to like kind of get like what they're kind of going for and everything sound wise and everything. But it's to me, I feel like. And granted, probably if I listen to their stuff later on again, they have 10 albums. They have 97. They have 20 plus years of material and everything. I'm sure there's more, and I'll listen to more later on and everything, and get deeper into it later. But from what I got, Vulgar felt like the full like this is what they're going for. Like this is that we are officially out of the androgynous, like, wearing the makeup and the hair and the,
well, they still do that, but
well, yeah, but it's
completely away from like Visual K, which Visual K doesn't typically get like that deep.
Because like so the one music video I watched was for Cage, and like Cage wasn't the first music video I watched.
Oh.
So when I watched it, I was like, okay, this is very much Visual K. Like, it's very much, that style and everything. In fact, at a certain point, I was like, is the bassist a girl? is the bassist? No, I'm pretty sure it's then. Yep. Okay. Let me not assume it's 2020. But.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Where am I go?
Where did the time go? But it definitely felt like they were officially we're gonna go places that you're not gonna like, or you might fucking like, and I liked the last the last part of that album, Obscure and Child Prey.
Oh yeah.
And that I was like, oh fuck, man, this is how you end an album. Like, this is how you literally went to your audience and just like, fucking eat my boot, you piece of shit. Like, here, take it. Here's some bangers, just absolute, just slobber knockers. I'm like, holy shit. And yeah, Vulgar was like,
and some wild ass visuals to go with it. Ooh,
okay.
Videos.
Okay. So here's the thing. I finished Vulgar. I was like, all right, very good, very solid. I think I have a good enough bedrock for what I can bring to the podcast. I feel like I have enough to bring forward that I don't feel like I'm completely talking out of my ass. I can come forward and have some idea of what we're talking about. But I was like, you know what? I should probably watch their music videos. And I decided, because I read the wiki article originally, and they were talking about the one music video for Obscure being the most vile thing ever put
fucking wild
to YouTube. Or to like,
wild.
First off, the uncensored videos on YouTube. It's through like 5 age gates, but it's on there. So if you don't have a YouTube account, you had to be 18 plus. Whatever. I get into it. Watch it for yourselves. I'm not going to explain to you everything that's going on. Seriously, if you're over 18, or if you're lying and all that shit, listen, I did it too. It's fine.
But we're not telling you.
We're not condoning. We are neither encouraging nor condoning making a fake YouTube account if you're above 18. But just so you happen, we warned you, because it is steep. Here's the thing. I've been on the internet and the world for a long time. Not everything in that music video was like, oh my god, I'm losing my mind. It's intense. And I think if a younger version of me saw that music video, I would have.
I mean, if you think of the year it came out to, 2003 is a
steep year, steep time. My thing about that music video is some of the special effects didn't really hold up.
Oh, I know, they're very interesting.
There's one,
I like the stop motion in it too.
I didn't mind that. Like that works. I like stop motion as terms like an aesthetic piece, because it provides like it really adds to like a creepiness.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
it's like what Tool does.
Yeah. It's like there's a chop. Well, yeah, but I think like for Adam Jones and everything, when he does like those music videos, like there's some claymation that is very smooth and very like, you know, like you know, like it's very you know, it conveys a movement, but then when it's like that choppy, like weird, like otherworldly look and everything, it helps. And I think that worked in the music video for Obscure, but when Homeboy turns into bats.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I forgot about that.
And then like the one guy has like the there's a part where the guy has a mouth that has, you know, turns like tentacles and all that stuff. Yeah. It does, like if you're already not squeamish for the other shit, and I'm not gonna tell you about the other shit because the other shit will freak you out because there's some actually really good practical effects in it. There is a little bit of age with it as well. So that was the first music video I watched from them because I figured, why not dive in deep?
What an opener!
Wow,
an opener!
You just opened with that shit. Okay.
I'm trying to remember what the first music video I saw was.
The second music video I watched was Cage, and Cage is more tamed, though it has its weird points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're gonna compare the two, my lord.
Well, yeah, but like, but you can tell they're definitely in the more traditional, you know, visual key and all that stuff and everything, and it's there's the makings of the stuff later on, but it's like there's some weirdness to it. Like again, if you literally want a good time, like, or you want to like, you know, freak yourself out a little bit, watch some of their music videos. They're decent, but overall, like, from like very short experience, in all honesty, of like, going over the band and everything along those lines, they definitely have a leg up on a lot of other groups. I think the main issue for a lot of people is going to be language barrier. Like I think, like, you know, they're like, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. You know, like, you know, it's probably the same people that are like, oh, I gotta read subtitles, and you're like,
oh my God,
just read subtitles. Come on, listen.
I don't want to read while I watch.
Hot take. Subs better than dub.
Oh Lord, what are you opening?
Hot take.
What are you opening?
Hot take. Well, listen, I love me the DBZ voiceovers. I love me some of the other voiceovers from Americans. They're all great and everything like that. But man, when you sit through some trash American VO, you want to eat a shotgun shell. It's so fucking bad. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Who are you calling meanie?
Oh,
what?
Oh God.
What? You are a part of Genova and Sephiroth. And you just like what? It's not better than the Japanese either, but it's like at least I.
Jesus,
that's my hot take.
I was about to say, calm down. This is a wrong episode of the podcast.
Oh, we're going. Yeah. I just needed to follow up with. Listen, it's fine. Like musically, you can get a lot out of the band. And I think that's the main thing. Like, don't be intimidated by the fact you don't understand what they're saying. Enjoy what they're putting out musically. And I think that's you'll 100% appreciate this as a non-J-rock, a person that's not into J-rock. Like if you're into just general metal, there's a lot to be taken out of. They're very
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, they're very if you like Ghost I think would be like a equivalent. But the thing, well, in terms of
I made a face to that.
I know. Well, in terms of like what semi-style-ish, maybe that's not even like a good comparison.
No, it's really not. It's not. I would just full stop.
Just take that comparison and throw it right out the fucking window. Take it into the dumpster, set it on fire. You know what? That leads me into, though, in terms of like, I think a main problem I have with like a lot of bands that rely heavily on visuals is when a band like a Ghost or a Kiss or
they look more intimidating.
They look way more intimidating than Detroit Rock City again. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
rock and roll all night.
Well, and see, that's yeah. I mean, I think Dir En Grey is definitely an example of like keeping that same level.
Yeah, and that's just
especially if you watch them live. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. I've seen some clips and everything. Yeah.
Ain't Afraid to Die is so good.
That was a weird noise I made. But yeah, like it's that's their example of keeping the aesthetic and running with it, and it all blends together. And then you have like, I feel like I'm going to run into a band while listening to J-Rock or going through all that stuff where it's going to be like they have an aesthetic going for them, or they're doing something, and then their music just doesn't.
I mean, there's definitely some of them, even some like old Visual K bands, they look a very specific way and the sound kind of lines up but doesn't fully get there, because there's definitely like some old ones. Well, I'm thinking like Mega Romania and Phantasmagoria, but they were...
Fucking name is that?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if that's 100% how you say that, but I know that there's a movie called that, and that's where I get the pronunciation of the name.
Yeah.
But they're very, very like classic Visual K, which I guess they are Visual K. Well, they are classical sound as well. But some of them, like some of the songs are very, very light and airy, where they don't, I don't know. I don't feel like the look fully is for that. It's not like Versailles, which is absolutely like they look like vampires and they sound like vampires, and it's amazing. It is like I am transported to Romania every time I listen to a song by them. It is like 100% lining up.
Suck my blood, daddy. Please.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Oh my God. I have a photo of them as, actually, I think I have 2 photos as a background on my computer.
I feel like at certain points during this J-Rock 101 thing we're doing, you're just going to simp at some point.
I'm going to simp. So if we do a whole, if we do an episode on the Gazette, if we do an episode on Versailles, if we do an episode on, what is it? Zalvala? Is that how they say their name? I think they're very, very new, and oh my God.
Those are probably going to be episodes where, see, this is an episode where I know I would have some stuff to say. Those are going to be episodes where Alexis is just going to be like, ah!
I was going to say, it's going to be hard to talk about Zalvala. I can never say it.
Valhallen?
Yeah, Valhallen. No, it's to talk about them because they are super new. Like, only have a couple songs out right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're super, super new.
So to follow
Deviloof. Oh my God.
To follow up on the aesthetics not matching the sound and everything like that for Visual K bands and everything. Visual K bands. Visual K bands. K. Okay. Visual K bands.
K-E-I.
Are there bands that are like Visual K that you don't like, that are like garbage, or like are universally considered not good? Because those would be, I think, interesting trips.
I'm trying to think if there's any like off the top of my head that I'm like, this is just not. There's definitely some. Well, see, here's the thing. Some of them, I mean, there's a lot of the ones that I'm thinking that are not, they're just in the J-Rock because they're Japanese rock bands, but they're not in like the Visual K sector at all. That are just, I don't know. I think it's because so many of them, if a lot of the bands start in that very specific style, because I feel like it's just kind of the go-to because it is so like it's so visual and like it catches you really easily as a listener. Like if you're just perusing through YouTube and you see this like wild thumbnail with like these people in these ornate dresses and stuff, and you're like, of course a lot of people's first thing is that a guy or a girl? It's a reason to click on it. And then once they really kind of establish themselves, they move away from that into something that makes a lot more sense. So I don't know if I've really... There's definitely been some that I've, like, just J-Rock bands in general that have kind of, like, oh. Like, Deviloof is 100% one of those bands that I have listened to and I've watched their videos and I'm like, whoa, this is a lot. And, like, even for somebody like me that I love some heavy ass metal, their stuff, his squeals are absolutely like insanity.
Did you do like some piggy squeals?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Ooh.
Like, it's insanity. And the way that they look, and like one of their music videos, I think it's their most recent. They might have released another one. No, I don't know. It's one of the more recent ones. Like, it starts out with 3 people in body bags and they just start like moving around.
Oh.
It's a wild little video. I mean, it doesn't get like super graphic. It's definitely not like some of the visuals that Dir En Grey has put out, but it is like a visual of like, because like the whole thing starts out as like you're seeing the body bag's feet as it's being like dragged into the woods, and then the whole music video takes place in those woods.
I mean, so they do. I've seen they've taken one of our tropes. I've seen the metal band in the woods trope. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I see. Quite. Yes.
But yeah, they're definitely one of those I think relies more on, even though visually they're very, very stunning, just as like the people that they are.
Yeah.
And they're a really good example of like reinvention, as well as Dir En Grey is, or like an evolution of their look.
Yeah.
Because Dir En Grey still, even though I would say they've come down to, I don't want to say a specific point, but there's definitely a really nice flow between all of the later albums, and like the actual content gets heavier and heavier, but they're still very big on like the visual and reinvention of the visual. Like, Kyo never looks the same ever. Like, the only thing that is the same about him when you see him is the fact that he has a neck tattoo.
Does he get a buzz cut at one point? I thought at one point I saw.
This man has gone through so many transformations, and they're like that. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a live video. I could be completely wrong, but at least so far, I haven't watched a live video where they've looked the same. I'm like, how do you all do that? But it's. I think it's part of the interest of them is that you're kind of like, what are they gonna do next? Yeah. Where instead of I've seen like a downfall with a lot of bands in the States is they get into that niche. And then when they decide after 10 years of being in that niche, they're like, we want to try something different. We're not straying like too far away, but there's some differences. And then a bunch of the fans freak out and they're like, oh my God, I miss the old you.
I think Metallica ruined that for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna give an example of that. It's oh God, what was one of the YouTube channels I watched? The Punk Rock MDA with Finn McKenty. It's very good. I don't know if you've ever watched any of it. You're
just a walking advertisement for everyone else.
I gotta cite my influences. Damn it, I gotta know.
I know.
But he described it as when a I don't even know if he was the one that came up with it or somebody else made a meme about it. It's when a band says, "Hey, we're gonna go more melodic."
Oh God, that's so true.
Oh, yeah, and then and you just know they're going butt rock, like they're just diving right into like, why does it sound like Shine Down? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think that's the weird. And granted, this could be a thing in Japan too. Obviously, we don't live there, so we don't 100% know what's going on. But
yeah,
a typical thing with rock bands here is like if you end up on the radio more and more, you are like falling into this weird like niche that could be very hard to get out of,
and it only happens with rock bands.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah,
like any other genre, they're like, yeah, dude, you're on the radio, like it's so cool. Yeah. And then it happens with rock, and they're like, yo, you're such a fucking sellout. And it's just like, damn.
Well, I guess the prime example for like pop would be like Billie Eilish, because she started off like alts and everything like that, and then she got huge, and like her biggest album was like highly rated and everything like that. But then like you'll get. I remember everyone tried to sell. We're off topic. We'll jump back into it a little bit. I just want to get this rant. It's when everyone tried to like, oh man, you should listen to Greta Van Fleet. I'm like,
I think they got annoyed by it too, because everybody kept telling them that they sound like somebody else, and they're like, we're really tired of you doing this.
Yeah, but the problem is that I popped the mic. I'm sorry. The problem is that they do.
I know.
They just sound like Zeppelin.
I think that was what they got so mad about. They were like, we're so tired of being compared to them, and I'm like,
but that's what it. I get it. Like,
I mean, I think it's just because I think that whole thing is the problem here in the U.S. Again, I don't know how it is in like other countries, but it's a band who pioneers the sound will forever end up being that sound.
Yeah.
So anytime you try to do something that you're like, yeah, we're in like this like weird psychedelic hippie vibe, whatever, it falls into whatever band kind of pioneered that sound for the world, or for the country, whatever. But yeah, I think that's like the big problem.
Yeah, like I guess maybe like visual kei is like the opposite, where visual kei, visual kei.
I've heard people say it as key too. I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just trying my best here.
Yeah, we're just trying no, maybe it's the reverse over there, where it's like you start off as like attracting the viewers, attracting the people, because like you are already like doing the thing that most people are used to, and then when you you have to do that evolution, because if you just stay where in that lane or whatever, it's like, well, are you gonna try something different? Are you gonna try something new? That might be the precedent for them instead.
Well, and I think too, I think with a lot with and we're getting on like quite the tangent here, but like
I know.
with
I was trying to share back.
I know. Well, yeah, I am trying to also, but I think with like American music it's so, I could be wrong, but from like my observation, and when you look at charts, when people talk about like, oh, they're the number one in 32 countries or whatever, like shit like that. It seems like it's so much easier for American music to get into other countries, where it is so hard for the opposite way around. And so a lot of J-rock bands actually do certain changes in order to try and break in over here, which is like unfortunate, but also I understand.
Isn't that kind of crossfaith's thing? Like, wasn't that kind of their deal, or were they always kind of like a little bit on that? Like...
Crossfaith is an interesting one. They actually got a little more like, they like toned down after being on Warped Tour for a few years. Like the last album they released was a lot more toned down, and you actually heard Ken sing. Like just clean singing for once, and everybody was like, "Whoa!"
For those who don't know, like I listen to a little bit of Crossfaith and everything. Crossfaith is a J-rock band, but they're not in like that visual kei style and everything like that. They're more
just some metal Japanese men.
Yeah, well, they're more. Honestly, if there was a band that like tried to like do that crossover and everything, it would. I would think it was gonna be them and everything, but I don't know. It just, I guess, never really panned out for them. But in terms of trying to cross over. But the other weird thing too is that you'll see groups like, especially either from America or like, wherever, or they've had like a hit in America, but then like you'll see them like I think the biggest band I can think of is Aha. Like Aha had they had Take On Me, huge hit in America and everything like that, and they've been in they were a band for years. I think the one of them died or whatever. I think the lead singer did. They didn't chart in America forever, but because they were so big in their home country, they're so big there, they just had a career. So charts are weird, music industry is weird, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, it really is. Well, and I think sometimes, this is like multiple things in my head, is America has so many restrictions on what you can do live. And so like you won't always get the same experience of seeing an overseas band in America, because there'd be like a lot of things that they're not allowed to do, or they can't bring certain props or whatever, stage setups. So sometimes that seems to influence it too. It's like they don't get enough of an impact when they come over here because they just simply weren't able to do everything that they want to do. Because I feel like really a lot of Japanese bands, just kind of in general, at least in the rock and metal genre, they really, really love like their stage presence and their visuals, and that's why they look a certain way and they do certain things. And like
I saw that a lot with Dir En Grey, and then another example of that, which I don't know if they were able to get away with some of the stuff in America, and I know I'll probably get a little heat for this for bringing them up and how dare I and all that stuff, but Baby Metal have some
God, I love them.
Elaborate shit.
Oh yeah, their shows are nuts.
Like they're coming down on like an overhang from the ceiling and like floating down and everything. There's a giant like almost fucking like Evangelion like mech head, and you're just like, what the, and you're just singing like cutesy Japanese metal stuff, and I feel like I'm at like a cult like meeting. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think it's funny because even we're all the way into now we're into 2020, and I feel like sometimes America still can't handle the things that are really like far off to the side, like we're going far left or far right. Like this is dramatic. Like I feel like sometimes they just still can't handle it.
Well, yeah, but I also feel like there's times where like I go to certain shows, and I don't know, maybe if they have like it may just be like a site thing because America's so like out and all over the place, and we only have like stadiums or like bigger arenas and everything along those lines so far and few between, and they're so far off, and there's a lot of them that they try to do those bigger spectacles and everything that maybe that just doesn't come in the budget. Whereas like you go to Japan, smaller, but you have like Budokan, and you have like they have their big arenas over there, but they're all
Japan Dome. Oh my god.
Yeah, but they're right there, and everyone can just get to them, and like they only have to do like, hey, we're gonna do those big arena shows in those cities, and we only have to do it those many times. Whereas like you bring it over to the States, you had to think about bringing all the stuff over. You had to think about bringing paying for the equipment and all that kind of stuff, and the crew, and how long you're gonna keep them and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think that's why like people lost their minds for like when some J-rock bands like go over to like the States, but they don't perform in like big stadiums. They perform in like conventions.
Yeah, I've seen. You know how many play at the House of Blues? I'm like, I'm not gonna get the same experience at all.
No.
Like the minute I see those venues released, I'm like, oh God, like I'm still gonna go see you, but man, I'm real upset.
I'm just happy to be here. I'll be disappointed, but I'm just happy to be here.
I mean, it's fine. We can go over a little bit.
I mean, that's fine, but I mean, I don't know if you have. We tangent off to the logistics of touring and cultural differences and all that stuff and everything on our Dir En Grey J-Rock review. I figure we get this out of the way now because at least to understand like them culturally, but like anything you want to add in terms of when I go, like I'll probably go through the rest of their albums and like listen to everything. I'll probably like hit everything finally, but like is there any like highlights or notes you want to make like going further into their discography and everything before I go in?
I mean, definitely album wise, I mean, from Withering to Death on, I think is a very, very interesting time lapse.
Oh boy.
And again, like I've said, The Insulated World is such a good album. It is hands down like one of my favorite albums that has ever come out, and that could be just extremely biased of me. But it is, the content of the songs are still like simple in the fact that there's not like a lot of words, but the words that there are have a purpose, and I think that's what's so like important about them, and about that they're like they've really made this decision of like, we are saying this, we're going to, I mean, they already like before all these albums, they've made that decision that they were going to do what they wanted and say what they wanted, which is crazy when you think of like the culture in Japan. I think that's like the biggest thing about Dir En Grey is when you think of where they come from, you're like, how in the world? Like, you guys are so bold, so out there. You're not afraid to talk about things that other people don't want to talk about or that are maybe taboo in your own country to talk about. I mean, even in those like early decades or the early 2000s and mid 2000s, like even in America, people weren't talking about certain things like that, which is why we have a couple staple bands that really like talked about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really, from like Withering to Death on, I really like those albums. I really like what they were doing. Not only just in the sense of like the content, but also just like what they were doing instrumentally. Things I just keep thinking, of course, The Insulated World again. I love the song Aka. Oh my god, that song is so good, and I'm a sucker for anything that's like a power ballad. So it's always going to be like one of the songs, but just for them doing that, I was like, yeah, I'm here for this. I'm fully here for this.
I'm about it.
Yeah, it is. It's a really, really good song. Okay. But yeah, I think there's a lot. I mean, they were already introducing kind of a little bit more melodic tone. They, up to the point that you were talking about, they had already been kind of introducing that. I think you just kind of get more and more of that. The guitars are just beautiful. Just yes, chef's kisses.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's just a really, really great evolution, and you see an evolution as well in a couple of the live videos that you can pull up. Just there, like, Kyo has such a dynamic range as a singer, just in general. But when he's like really pouring into something that has like this message, it's incredible. Like, Ain't Afraid to Die, once again, that live video, I think it came out like 2 years ago or something. Oh my God. Like, that man, he is absolutely incredible. I mean, they're all incredible. Did you see that they did a thing with Loudwire?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they came on to show off their favorite riffs. So they have guitar and bass riffs.
They did the favorite riff. Oh, okay, yeah, because a few bands did that. Like, I know High on Fire did one, a bunch of bands. But I didn't know that. Oh, shit. I'll watch that.
No, that was really cool. And everybody was like freaking out in the comments because they were like, oh my God, there's like a J-Rock band on here. Like, can we do this more? Because it's really, really cool to hear them talk and like see what inspired them.
I'm assuming, do they speak Japanese and they have subtitles and everything like that? Okay, that's a figure.
Yeah. Sure. I don't know if any of them. Well, Kyo might speak a little bit of English, but I don't think.
Maybe. That was the one thing I was a little like at certain points during some of their songs is like oh God, Barry. I think on one of them they have like a British family arguing and everything along those lines, and it's all in English and everything. I'm just like, so weird how they like they contrast with the Japanese vocals and singing and everything like that. And there's like, why is there a British family arguing? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
gives all over the place.
Yeah, see, I really liked this. I just pulled this up, this interview that I had found. I really liked that somebody talked about the Insulated World as, they said, well, it's not like their previous work was full of gentle feelings, yet it never crossed my mind that this will become a work that will bring the sense of unity/identification of the band. So that tells you like really what is happening in Insulated World, which this article, I probably should say who this is.
Cite your source.
And this person, it's on Tumblr.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's from somebody, they're called, this is funny, I did not realize what their name was, Kyotaku. So it's Kyo's name with otaku. Yeah, okay.
Please refer to our last episode for any verbiage you don't understand.
Oh, yeah, right? Like, it's just, oh my Lord.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, I guess this person, like, actually, yeah, it says I typed it on my phone, so let me know if you spot typos. Like, they actually did this interview with Kyo. But yeah, he said, speaking about the message in Dir En Grey's music, this album has the most extreme content, but saying that there are various vectors. So as a rule, I can't say it's extreme. I guess it's closer to hardcore. But yeah, it's definitely, and I would highly, obviously, recommend looking up any sort of translation that you can find.
Okay.
I think there's translations for every song now. I mean, a lot more people are translating in general. So
yeah. It's the internet age. Everyone has access to it. Everyone can do it. Everyone provides the information. Well.
Oh yeah, and then there's the new single that you have to listen to, which I listened to several times. It's so good. Okay. And I think there's an acoustic version. Because it's called The World of Mercy, if I remember. Yes. The World of Mercy. Oh, and then there's Dozing Green acoustic version, which I haven't listened to yet. And then there's a live take, which is cool, from 2019.
That's cool.
But yeah, World of Mercy is a pretty good song.
Gotcha. Yeah, I noticed that. I was going through the YouTube and all that stuff, was looking for music. I was like, oh, there's more stuff. Great.
Yeah, that song's actually a little like lighter or like softer, I would say. It's not, I mean, it's still like, I still think it's great, but it's definitely not so like, I'm in your face.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I'm puking on you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, God.
Dear Lord.
Ugh. All right. Yeah. All right. Just referencing things that you probably have already seen and watched and, already cringing about.
Yeah. I mean, feel free if you guys want to add to the conversation. I mean, obviously there's only so much we can pack into an hour, talk about so much. I could literally be here for eons talking about an actual breakdown of a song.
Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, ring that bell, all that kind of stuff. Start a conversation if we ever get stuff going.
Start a conversation.
We're recording basically the first episode on the same day, so we still don't have we haven't done all of our stuff and everything, but we should have all our socials up soon. Metal Waifu Pod. On all of them, you need to look them up and everything like that. Yeah. I'm excited to do another one of these at some point. Probably, I don't know if we'll do one for next month, but next time we do a metal one, I might switch it up. Might do something more traditional. We might do something a little more weird. But yeah, I think that's about it. You ready to get some tacos?
Heck yeah, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. God bless it.
I know,
God bless it.
Yeah.
2020.
You guys have a good morning, evening, night. I don't know, wherever you are.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah, there you go. Have a wonderful 24-hour span.
Yes, have a great. You might be in an area where you might have a 30 days of night situation where it's just all night. So just good night forever. Don't let the vampires tear you apart.
Oh God.
On that morbid note, I think that's appropriate.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, cool.
Good.
Talk to you guys later.
Good night. Kiss, kiss.